Guys, the more and more days that progress, the more and more I think that the iPhone SE 2 is actually going to be coming. So if you guys are new, if you guys are just like infants right now, you haven't even been watching my videos, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, I am an iPhone SE 2 truther. I personally do think that the iPhone SE 2 will come out, but I don't know if at this point if it's going to be called the iPhone SE 2 anymore or what it's going to be called, but that's pretty much the name I'm giving it as of right now. There was a leak that just came out and it's kind of confusing, but you just kind of have to bear with me for a second. And pretty much this is coming from Mac Rumors. I'm not really too sure where this source comes from, but there's so many people who are talking about it. But shout out to Mac Rumors. I love their website. And this leak pretty much is Apple will reportedly launch 3 OLED iPhones in 2020, okay? Including a smaller 5.42-inch model with thinner display. So by reading that, you would think that, okay, there's a smaller iPhone coming, okay, next year, whatever. That's still really, really cool. We're getting a smaller iPhone. And when I saw that, I was like, you know what? 5.42 inches. I mean, the iPhone 10 is like 5.8 inches. I'm like, that's still going to be somewhat the same size. Now, that's not quite an iPhone SE 2, right? Well, that's not completely right. Okay, so to kind of start this all off, the current iPhone XS is 5.8 inches, okay? And the iPhone XS Max is 6.5 inches. So there's about a 0.7 inch difference between both those display sizes. And that's pretty much the same type of screen difference from the iPhone 8, for example, to the iPhone SE. So the potentially new iPhone SE 2 will actually be bigger than the iPhone SE if we kind of take that same dimension size. So I will say it's probably going to be around that same size of the iPhone 8, because if you guys don't know, the iPhone XS is a little bit bigger. You know, in the hand it doesn't really feel like it's too much bigger, but actually the iPhone XS is a little bit of a bigger device. That kind of makes me believe, okay, potentially the iPhone SE 2 might be a bigger phone than the iPhone SE, the original one, but we are going to be able to get an OLED display on it. We're going to be getting better specs inside of it than we initially thought. And even though it's not the smallest thing in the world or whatever, it's still going to be a very, very good smaller option for a lot of you. This kind of resembles the same thing to the Galaxy S line they have right now with the S10e, the S10, and the S10 Plus. I think Apple's going to copy that line because if you think about it, the Galaxy S10e is a very solid device. I don't think it's cheap at all or anything. So I do think that Apple is probably going to follow that same suit. So it's not going to make a fully small phone, but it's still going to be smaller than the current iPhone XS version. So that could potentially be the new iPhone SE 2 we're getting, the smaller phone, not quite as small as the iPhone SE, but still smaller than the current smallest iPhone that Apple sells. So that's definitely a plus, I think. But I still think that Apple might come out with an actual iPhone SE 2, a separate device from the smaller iPhone coming out next year. Because think about it like this, okay? We're already seeing Apple releasing tons of products. They've already refreshed the iPad mini, the iPad Air, AirPods as well. I think they're going to keep this trend going and dropping the iPhone SE 2 like an actual iPhone SE updated version. I think with the home button potentially, because they put the home buttons on the iPad minis and the iPad Airs. But here's the thing, and I have to stress this, I cannot stress this enough. Apple, as we know, they stopped selling the iPhone 10, so that means that the last generation of phones that somebody could buy are only the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus, okay? So if Apple goes and they keep that same type of design, they keep the same type of everything for this year's iPhones, the 2019 ones, that potentially means that Apple will also unsupport the iPhone XS and the iPhone XS Max, so they're not going to sell those in the store because there's not a lot of difference between them. That's why they didn't sell the iPhone 10. But you have to keep this in mind as well. If Apple does not keep selling the iPhone XS and the iPhone XS Max, that means that people will only be able to buy the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus, which at that point is already 2 years old, and nobody's going to buy a 2-year-old phone. You know, Apple's still going to, in my opinion, keep the iPhone XS and the XS Max in their lineup. They're still going to sell them in the Apple stores. So Apple has to make a choice. While they have all the iPhones in front of everybody, they want to be able to sell and persuade the consumer to buy the newest iPhone rather than the older one. And if people look at them, they're like, oh, it's the same thing, whatever. Nobody's going to go and buy the newest one, and the oldest one is the same thing. So that's for a different video. I'm going to explain that all tomorrow. But what I'm telling you is this year's iPhones are also going to be pretty awesome. They're going to have to bring a lot of new technology, a lot of cool things. We're already seeing the reverse wireless charging, the camera setup that Apple could potentially bring. I think Apple probably is going to release an iPhone SE 2 this year, and then a smaller iPhone next year that's going to kind of be the iPhone 10 clone of iPhone XS, whatever. It's going to be like an iPhone XS but a smaller size. So that's kind of a little update there. Now potentially, even if the next year's iPhone or whatever is the newer iPhone SE 2, I'm going to be perfectly happy with that as well. I think having a phone that's exactly the same size as an iPhone 8 with the whole display there and an OLED display at that, I think that would be super sick and I would enjoy that so much. And again, these are all rumors. There's no way to verify this or anything. We're just going to have to wait and see, but it's always fun to kind of speculate. And based off these rumors, this is kind of what I'm thinking. If you guys have any questions or you have anything else to add, please leave it down in the comments section below. I love to hear what you guys have to say. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I would really appreciate if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.